there a sense of sort of relief that round 23 finally has come here and this season can be put aside now and the team can start focusing on next year?
No, Tony, I wouldn't say relief. I mean, even though it's a long season, it goes really quickly, and there's so much work that this club's got to do. So what it will give, though, it'll give the club an opportunity to reset itself, make some new appointments in the areas that it needs to make. With new people coming in, particularly senior coach, it'll be a fresh start there. And I'm sure next year we'll start with a wave of optimism for that, as it should as well. So, but it's important that we play it right out, Tony, and as I've spoken to you about before, that's what we intend to do. One game to go, so it's important that we're true to our word before that.
What can a win do for the boys? How much is it a boost to go into a pre-season off a win to end the year? Is it any difference? Or?
I was going to call you Sam, but Chris. Chris, it's one win for us is, whilst it would give. Look, we all love winning. One win for us is not what we need. I mean, we're a long way off the pack. So I mean, you've got to start somewhere, of course. So I'm not trying to be flippant about a victory on Sunday if we're good enough to do that. But sort of that's not going to turn things around for us. We've got a lot of work to do. So it'll be consistency about our performance, and eventually some consistency on the scoreboard. And so we do start to generate, not one win here, then 5 or 6, 7, 8 weeks, with losses and another win, that sort of thing. We need to start to put 2 or 3 wins together. So that's the challenge of this footy club.
Yeah, you use the words fresh start and a new senior coach. Does that mean that you've ruled yourself out?
Not necessarily, no, not necessarily. But there'll be some significant changes. I mean, there's still some more positions, I think, to be filled on the board. And there's some changes happening, over in admin and management. There's still a restructure of the footy department to be finalised. So there's some new people to come into there. So it's not just about a senior coach. It's about a whole range of people in terms of new start, new ideas, freshness for next year.
Do you think there'd be a major overhaul of the playing list as well? We've seen a couple of retirements already.
Yeah, I'm not sure because I haven't been directly involved in list management. But if you look at most clubs now, you've got to have 3. You've got to make at least 3 changes. And it won't be unusual for most clubs, probably 5, 6, 7 changes, and we'll be no different with that, with retirements and other decisions to be made. So, and then it's a matter of who do you bring in. So, obviously you've got the different avenues to recruit people in that. But, yeah, so there'll certainly be some changes for us.
How important has David been to the morale of the group? Clearly a very funny guy, but during their tough times, how?
Dave Roden?
Yeah.
No, Dave. I mean, I was. It's quite amazing that he's. That knee injury that he's had was, when he's probably playing his best game for the footy club. He was exceptional against Adelaide early until he hurt his knee. So look, David came to us with the experience that he's already explained. He's an outstanding human being. So he brought to the club, some maturity, both off the field, but maturity on the field. He brought his experience, he brought his mentoring capacity. He's already spoken about his effect he had with young players at Port Adelaide. We were seeing that here with our guys here, our younger players here. So, I know the club has got some criticism for recruiting, some other players, and David was one of those. But I'd do it again tomorrow in a flash. With the input that he's been able to have to this playing group. Not an issue at all for me.
Please don't think I'm suggesting any impropriety here at all, but Sunday finds itself in a unique situation, whereas GWS beat Gold Coast, they could go on top of you on the ladder, which would put you at the bottom and the possibility of the number 1 draft pick. Would that be something that would be a good thing for the club to get that pick?
Well, that'll unfold, Tony. All I can say to you is this: is that we'll be playing flat out as hard as we possibly can. To get a win for this footy club. So if we're good enough to do that, I guess we'll stay where we are. If we're not, those sort of things can unfold. So, we don't have any effect on that. We just play to the best of our ability.
You beat the Bulldogs in round 14. Is that the highlight of your stint since you've taken over as the
For me?
coach? Yeah.
No. The highlight for me has been working with this group in general, in terms of developing those people, developing some leadership qualities. So that's certainly been the highlight for me as the interim coach. The wins are the end product, you know, of all the work that the guys do. So certainly for our supporters, that's their greatest highlight, because that's all they get to see is what happens on a Saturday afternoon, if you like. So please don't think I'm flippant about that win, but I certainly get a lot more satisfaction out about the work you do during the week rather than the win.
They're a different outfit, aren't they, though, from when you last played them?
Oh yeah,
they've really turned it around.
Yeah, they've even when we played them, I think, Tony, they were sort of on the rise, starting to come good, and you know, their last few weeks have been quite exceptional. So we understand who we're playing.
Neil, Andrew Dimitri mentioned the other night when talking about everything that was happening at Essendon, that the investigation is still ongoing here. Did that come as a surprise to you, or is everyone here well and truly aware of that?
No, Chris, I think we're aware of it. Well, I know we're very much aware of that, and just as I think they've got some other work to do, you know, through the AFL. So obviously with the Essendon situation, they've been flat out, you know, looking at that and trying to get all that finalised. So I guess their time and energy now will come to Melbourne at some stage to get to put some sort of completion to all that. So we're aware of that, and there's already been quite a few people interviewed in terms of that situation. If that requires more people to interview, obviously our club will cooperate to the highest order with that. So I guess it's a matter of us just waiting to see what they want to do, and at some stage the AFL will come to Melbourne and let us know.
Does it send shivers down the spine? It was the heaviest penalty that the AFL has seen. There's no point really dealing in hypotheticals, but does it just go, God, what could happen?
Well, depending on what their findings are, of course. I mean, it's and that'll be up to ASADA and the AFL to first of all collect all the information, if they haven't got it currently, to make sure they get all the information they need. Then they sit in judgment of that information, and that's. I think there's a lot of things, Chris, that a lot of lessons to be learnt from the Essendon, you know, case study, if you like. A range of, you know, whether it be leadership, whether it be trust, whether it be player welfare, whether it be confidentiality, calmness, you know, reporting accuracy in the media, if you like, you know. So the lessons you learn is, the lesson I take out at the moment is, let's just wait till we get all the information. Let's not try and predict what happened, what didn't happen. I understand it's boring from a media perspective, but in reflection, you know, from what we've just been through with the Essendon, you've got to be really careful. You've got to be really careful in terms of confidentiality and factual information, because so many people can get hurt. So what I would encourage everyone is just to be patient, just sit, wait the information's been gathered, and then, you know, just work our way through it from there.
Is that in reference to particular players from this club that have already been named, just making sure that they're protected and left alone until the facts are out there?
I think everyone involved, you know, whether it be at this club or, you know, I think the NRL's going through the same sort of thing. It's because it's a, you know, it's a sensitive topic that you're talking about, and people's reputations can be harmed, you know, and that's why, you know, the confidentiality and the accuracy of information, Chris, is so important. It's I can't sort of emphasise that enough.
Back to the game, Neil. Rory Taggart gets a chance to debut this week. Describe him as a player and will really get his chance, I suppose.
Well, it's probably unlikely unless we get an injury between now and, we've got a final on tonight down at Geelong. So Rory was named through his performances at VFL level, and his last probably 6 weeks have been quite exceptional in terms of what he's been able to do down there from where he's come from. So he was named as an emergency for his performance at Casey Scorpions. His chances of playing, as I said, would probably depend on an injury. He's an emergency at the moment. And he'll play down at Geelong tonight, unless I get some information from our squad.
Just to tick off on a couple of other AFL issues, the All-Star game, A lot of the high-ranked coaches, clubs that are higher ranked than you, are saying they really seriously don't believe their bigger name players will be playing before round one in that sort of game. The feeling from you on that, and also the interchange cap, just your thoughts on that one as well?
Well, the All-Stars game, I think there was a push by the players for that to happen. We'll find out how serious they are about it. If the so-called Tony Better players of the competition don't support it, you know, if they're going to put it up, they've got to be able to walk the talk. Otherwise, it'll just be it'll just fall on deaf ears in future. So sometimes be careful what you wish for. Because when it comes to the time of playing and the season starting, that'll be the real test.
I think Damien Hardwick said 86% of the players that said yes are the players that probably won't get a game, and the other 14 players that will said no.
Yeah, well, I don't know the percentage. Damien might know those. What I'm saying is that if the players have suggested that's what they want, and they're serious about it, they need to support it and support it strongly. Otherwise, they'll lose credibility in being asked for their opinions on things. The cap. I'm not a rule maker, Tony, so you know, and sometimes your coaches are not the best people to ask. If you ask me about interchange and rotation, I would say to you, give me unlimited interchange and rotations. You know, but that's not necessarily the best thing for the game. What I do know is the rule will be the same for everyone, and you know, I think it's in now for 2 years. I don't think it'll have a huge effect, you know, on what's been happening at the moment. Probably what I would say is that it looked like that the rotation cap, well, not the cap, but the rotations around about 130, 135. It started to plateau, you know, in terms of. So just maybe with the other little subtle rule changes that the AFL had brought in, they were maybe getting a cap anyway. But anyway, let's have a look at it and then make a judgment in 2 years' time.
Over summer, Melbourne fans are going to wonder what the Melbourne group's capable of achieving next season with a new coach or yourself. You know, what do you think they're capable of next year? Would you try and sort of lesser expectations, or could they play finals, or what do you think the boys could achieve next year?
Well, all I know is this, Jay, is that they go through another draft, and whether, you know, irrespective of where we finish, you know, last or second last, I think, you know, would be fair to say that's one of those two. I'm really confident through Todd Vining that their selections in the draft will get some more serious talent into the footy club. In terms of our defence, Jade Rawlings has done a great job there in developing the defence in terms of their maturity and the way they're playing. And you've seen some new guys come into that area with, you know, say Turlick and Clisby, for example, which, you know, for a first, you know, people tend to forget about those because of maybe where Melbourne sits, but they've both had, you know, really good seasons, and they'll continue to grow. Forward line on paper, you know, Dawes, Clark, Jesse Hogan, Jeremy Howe, Watts. All of a sudden, that forward line looks a bit different to what it has, you know, in the last 3 or 4 weeks. So there's some real excitement of what can happen up there. I think clearly for our footy club, our capacity to continue to build the midfield. You know, we've got some talent in there, but we haven't got the depth that we need to push on. So I think with the draft and trading and free agency, our supporters can look forward to you know, a much healthier and brighter season next year. Yeah.
Can the players take, even though the Bulldogs are a different outfit, can the players take some confidence into this game because they have had that win over them?
Well, to a certain extent, but I think we look at more our performance in the last couple of weeks. Fremantle was a really tough game for us, as any team that plays Fremantle at the moment experience how tough it is to play against Fremantle. And, you know, we played, I think our second quarter in particular was very good against Fremantle. Our first quarter against Adelaide on the weekend would be, you know, for our supporters who saw that live or saw it on the TV, that would be a picture I'd like them to keep in their head about how Melbourne wants to play their footy at the moment. So our challenge there is to try and take that first quarter form into Sunday, but try and extend and give us more of it. And as the group develops, hopefully you'll be able to see a consistency of performance at that sort of level. But that would be the picture I'd ask our supporters to have in their head of what they saw in the first quarter against Adelaide.
Okay, thanks very much, Daniel.